What's up? It's Coach Jared. So this is video number 2 on how to generate neural drive or improve or enhance neural drive using breath. All right, so the last video was using breath alone and putting it into work with the low plank. So the ultimate goal is how to generate neural drive and tension through the trunk and through the shoulder girdle. So with the low plank, we went through how different breath strategies and interventions can affect how much tension you can generate. Now we're gonna add load. All right, so still going back to the plank as an assessment tool after each intervention to see how that intervention has an effect. So I'm gonna start first with the breathing. So kind of a quick recap of just the last technique that I ended up using, which was the double breath technique with a forced exhale, all right, forced restricted exhale. So again, with this, with the breathing, we're going to work on first in that low plank position about squeezing the fists and focusing on those elbows driving down and a little bit of that rotation out. All right. And so for the breath, the double breath technique is a first deep breath in through the nose and then like a final slurp, like you're slurping up the bottom of your shake with the mouth. All right. So we're looking at really filling up the torso, so the abdominal area and the chest. So it's all right, so I'll do that one more time. And then I'm locking everything in with my ribs, and you should feel that tension immediately, even probably after that first inhale. All right, so I'm gonna do that now in my plank position because I wanna do the plank first without adding load, so that when I add load, I can feel the difference. All right, so again, for the plank, focus on grabbing 2 pegs. Trying to break the pegs, drive the elbows back, and break apart. And I'm going to do my double breath. All right, so just going to hold for a couple seconds just to feel that tension. Now I'm going to add that forced restricted exhale. So again, still doing the double breath technique. So in the nose, that last slurp through the mouth, and then I'm going to slowly exhale through my nose only, creating that resistance in the back of my throat. All right, to have a recap of that, just go to the last video. So again, I'm gonna get to the same position, double breath technique with a slow restricted exhale through the nose. All right, at the bottom of that exhale, that's when I'll stop. So you should feel as you're exhaling that you're able to generate more and more tension through the shoulders, through the hands, through the lats, through the back, and through the torso. All right, so now with adding load, so I'm gonna use a kettlebell. So this is a 16 kilo kettlebell. So what load does is literally just engages more muscle fibers. All right, so by adding an extra load, an external load to the body, more muscles have to be recruited, more muscle fibers have to be recruited in order to hold on to that load and keep it in wherever we want to keep it. So in this case, keeping it up at the shoulders in that same kind of low plank position, because that's where I want to see the change. All right. So you can apply this in different ways with different loads, depending on what your desired outcome is. But again, for today, shoulder girdle and trunk. So I want to keep this low plank position. All right. Position for the lower body is going to be really key with this too. So what I'm trying to do is isolate as much as I can just the trunk and the shoulder girdle. So I want to kind of get the legs out of it. So I'm going to go into a cross leg position. You could do a lotus position. Some added benefits to this is a little better access with my breathing and also some mobility. All right. Another way that you could do this, if you wanted to add a little bit of hips and glute engagement, would be either a tall kneeling position or a half kneeling position, still holding the kettlebell in front. All right, so I'm gonna get to my cross leg position, grab my kettlebell, and so I wanna think about the same cues. So now that I have an external load, I can actually generate a little bit more force and think about breaking, in this case, the handles of the kettlebell, breaking it apart. All right, I'm gonna do the same double breath technique with a forced exhale. At the bottom of my exhale is when I'll complete my rep, so I'll set the weight down. All right, so I'm gonna get it into place, so holding it up at the shoulders, at the collarbone level, I'm gonna squeeze my elbows in, deep breath in through the nose, get that slurp up, and then break the handle. And that's 1 rep. I don't know if you're able to see, but I can feel myself literally begin to shake a little bit because of the tension I'm trying to generate. All right, so after doing that, I'm gonna go back to my plank with the same breathing technique and seeing if I can feel like I can generate a little more tension after adding the load. All right, so back down. So again, this is going to be very subjective. So as a coach, if you're working with a client, student, or athlete, you're going to want to ask those 3 questions. So how did that feel? What did you feel? And where did you feel it? And that should give you enough feedback and to know whether or not that had a positive outcome or not. Some things you might have to modify might be either the plank position itself. You might have to regress. So you can go back to the first video and work on just the breathing in the plank position. Or they might need more load. Right? If that wasn't enough to really engage that extra motor recruitment that we want, bump it up. And that's it. All right, so the last video we'll be putting it all together, and what I'll do is add some push-up and plank variations so that we can progress from generating the neural drive and increased tension to then really trying to put it to some sort of performance measure.